Kallum Nicholson joins me on the podcast. Kallum is the founder of TUGA, the trailblazing, fractional CEO agency dedicated to propelling agencies and SMEs to unparalleled operational excellence and strategic growth. Kallum has worked with some of the biggest founders in the space and is also the founder of Roundtable, a private community for ambitious founders committed to growth, collaboration, and success. Me and Kallum sat down and spoke about the start of his entrepreneurial journey and the highs and lows that came with success. We spoke about his business TUGA and why he decided to start his own company, having his business partner steal from him, and the regular struggles of being an entrepreneur. Kallum brought the positive vibes and I could honestly chat to him for hours. Kallum is all about streamlining the process, and in the busy and chaotic world we live in, we all need a Kallum in our life. So please listen, enjoy, and like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. It'd be good maybe for some context, just kind of just explain who you are, what you do, and yeah, just kind of who you are, and then people can get a bit of context, and then we can go into some deeper questions afterwards.
What am I doing? Giving my Tinder profile?
Yeah,
it's like Kallum, 5'8", like
I have to say 5'10".
Yeah, so I'm actually 5'6". Long walks off a short pier. No, so Kallum Nicholson, Kallum with a K, is how everyone knows me. And I've built, which I think we might get onto, is like, I didn't realise I was building a personal brand around the name Kallum with a K, but everyone knows me as Kallum with a K.
Interesting, okay.
Really, it just happened. So I've been, founder now for 6 years, just over 6 years. I had an original business to begin with, and then I started doing what I do now alongside that, and then fully went into this. So TUGA, which is the Unconventional growth agency. I like the word unconventional because if I'm conventional, I'm boring. And what we do is we basically grow businesses by focusing on the internal aspect. So if you focus on the word growth in business, people think sales. Whereas I don't. There's more to that. Growth can mean downscaling, which throws a spanner in a lot of people's ways. It's just what growth means to you. So, for example, the people we work with, we don't focus on sales because that's not what we're there for. We're there to grow the business, to make it work for them and how they want it. So if they want to build an empire, we can build that. And if not, and by build, I mean systems, processes, optimization, automation, looking at the team. It's very, very varied because we don't specialize in a sector. We've worked with over 45 different sectors. So, yeah, you can't put a title on it. We just do growth and focus on the internal stuff. And it's great. I've got a different business every day of the week.
I suppose, yeah, because I've looked at your LinkedIn and it does seem very, it's very always perfect. Like the way you write stuff is very good because it's not, people just do the short spiel, the picture and just the quick caption. Yeah. You go you have to see more and it's actually in depth.
Oh yeah, it's a blueprint.
Yeah, but I think that's what people are looking for because, you see a lot of content creators, entrepreneurs, not to name names or anything like that, but the very...
Name them! Name them! Yeah, honestly. Do it, call them out. No.
But it was more just they're very secretive about, how they do things. And I mean, I know authenticity is now, I don't want to say it's in, but it's people respect it a lot more about people being authentic, the James Smiths of the world who are, they call out the bullshit when they see it. And I think the way you, especially write your posts, I know it's not a LinkedIn podcast, but I've actually, looked through your content and it's very in-depth, it's not, just surface level shit basically. And I think that's what people, especially your clients, I suppose they want to know what they're getting from you, right? And I suppose you do have a funnel about how you, onboard clients and and we could talk about that. But I think surface level, it's very, it's in depth, and I think it's nice to see compared to just, people posting a meme and a little caption, it's getting 5,000 likes. I'm like, what am I doing?
I'll happily call them out.
Yeah, I don't get what am I doing wrong? It's just I post them, it's getting 20. I know it's not about likes, but more
but
visibility.
To them it is.
Yeah, and maybe the algorithm, paid ads or algorithms or...
So there's loads of stuff I've got a feeling will probably end up coming on, but I'm also known for being a prolific networker. So it's because of that, I know the people that get the 5,000 likes, the businesses are an absolute sack of shit and they're no jack shit. The bot's someone else's course and they're just reselling that. you know what I mean, get a grip. And you use Grammarly because you're illiterate. I can't say anything. Don't read my post because they're horrendous.
I tried using Grammarly. I realised I'm bad at words.
Yeah, I should use it. That's the point. But it's no. So the reason why is because when I started out in business, so my first business, without loads of detail, was a retail business. Back in my home city where I'm from, and it boomed. And a lot of things came with that, and I realised no one around me was doing business. I had no entrepreneurial family members. I had absolutely nothing. So I think the mindset of what I've got now, which is why I go so in depth, and the reason when I have coffee chats with people or I'm networking or people just message me, I give them the advice. And I was doing it before I heard about, how Alex Hormozy describes it, which is give enough value to the point it's painful because you feel like you should be charging them.
Week actually on his pod, Chris.
So I've always done that. And then when I heard that, I was like, that's me. So the fact I'm doing that, I don't feel an idiot that I'm giving so much help away because I just want to do people, like help them grow the business. But it's because no one was there to tell me. I had no one to ask. The only person I could ask was a previous employer who said, actually, I'm just going to give you some advice, which is this will be the loneliest thing you ever do. Bear in mind, I'm like, that's great. I didn't need to hear that right now. Like, how do I do this bit? So I think because of that, which is why I do the blueprints. And also my mindset is, if they're a potential client, they'll come to me and do it. If they're not, I can help someone, they'll go do it because they'll probably become a client in the future.
Yeah.
And if they don't become a client, my reputation has shot through the roof because I've just helped these people that is then boomed. And then I'm more bothered about being reputable and credible than I am. Like offline, I get thousands of likes. Like that's how offline I get thousands of likes because that's where I put my effort. I don't care about the vanity metrics online. If anything, I see with you saying about my post, for example, and it's really nice like you say it, but I see that as someone's talking about me offline, then they go check out my profile, which is what we want. Then they're like, oh, this advice that they give this person that has said it, they're also giving the same, if not more advice on their posts. I now want to message them and talk to them about it, which is why now I'm going back into video content and everything like that, because that's what the whole of video content's about. It's all about that for me. It's all about giving that value to them and being able for them to ask help. There's a phrase that I love, which is, there's no such thing as a stupid question.
Yeah.
But my caveat is, but there are questions that can make you feel stupid.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't ask them. It's not a stupid question, but you feel stupid asking it.
Yeah.
So if I can just give you the solution so you don't have to ask it.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. It's almost like it's like a backwards way of...
Yeah.
Because, I know what you mean. I always think that because, never ask a stupid question. And I kind of like that when, you start a new job when your boss is like, you're probably a bit nervous, especially in a corporate business. And he's like, listen, ask what you want. I'd rather you come and ask than guess and get it wrong and have to do it twice. Yeah. And it's like, do you, asking the right questions where you don't feel stupid is, and especially for people who we spoke about before, introverts, they probably always are thinking this question's stupid because they probably just too nervous to ask anything. And I think it's good that if someone said, do come to your page or your LinkedIn or your personal brand, and they can already see what you do and they have to maybe faff around the 20 questions before they even get to the point, and it saves you time as well. Yeah. And like you said, I know you said on your what's actually on my questions, time is one of your most valuable assets. Yeah. And it's like, we haven't got time to waste it by, obviously there's the fluffiness before business of the conversation, which is nice. And I think a lot of people do enjoy that, but also, what you're asking, what you're asking them, and just cut to the bullshit and just get to the point. Yeah,
massively. And I also think it's between founders as well, or like freelancers or anything like starting that. So we now, for example, have a pro bono client every month. So we have a free client every month. And that's just because it's someone that I've maybe met that's starting out. And I'm like, look, you want to pick my brains intensely for a full month where you can ask as much as you want, as regular as you want, and I'll help as much as I humanly can, obviously within some form of realm. And they do it. But my point is that I also talk to people and help them. And I go, by the way, don't feel bad about asking me more because I've maybe giving you some advice or an idea or something, and you're now like, it's swirling around in your head. You want to build on top of that, but you feel like you can't come back and ask me. I go, no, come back and ask me. I'll tell you when you're taking the piss.
That's fair.
I'm like, come back and tell me. I'll tell you when you're taking the piss. Yeah. And I'm a pretty direct guy, as most people know, so I will tell them. Not as you're taking the piss now, but I'm like, right, okay, let's think on this a little bit now.
Yeah.
And that's, once again, what helps it. It's why I've got the network around me, the friends around me, and everything that I have, because people do that. And you know what? I also need it, because if I've done it for them, I can go back to them and do it. And because it ends up being the 48 Laws of Power, I'm going to get the quote wrong a little bit, which is, but it's just this one sentence. I can't remember which law it came from, and it's just resonated with me. Once again, going to the networking aspect as well, which is there's no taking without giving. There's no taking without giving. If you give value all the time, after so long, you'll be able to take something back. But
So what's the value add, I guess? What's the question you always want to be asking, right? What's my value add to someone else? Because like you said before, if you're giving, say, pro bono to someone, and then in 5 years' time, they're the biggest e-commerce platforms in the UK, and you want to go start an e-commerce, there you go. And they're like, this guy helped me 5 years ago. He's probably helped me get to where I am. So I can give this guy if the guy wants to be a client, absolutely. Or if he wants a referral, absolutely, because you've given that value add before. But then I guess a lot of people don't see that. They want to see the quick like, what can you do for me?
Don't
Turn
get
around.
started.
And it's like, if someone's asking you a favor, especially someone like, the LinkedIn connections, like, like we spoke about earlier, Saf or Izzy, if they wanted a favor and maybe it wasn't a paid gig or something like that, but they'll say, what can I do for you down the road? And if it's the case of, they have a friend who you want to onboard, or if you started a podcast and they wanted to be a guest, you can be like, hey, you don't have to even mention the thing. You just be like, hey, I saw your friends with so-and-so. Do you mind doing an intro? And in the back of their head, if they are your friend, they'll be like, oh yeah, Niall. Callum was speaking on Niall earlier. Callum helped me with this thing 6 months ago, so I'd love to do an intro with my friend who might help him out. And I think that's kind of like the value add, and I always try and think about that now when I'm not making deals, but like agreeing to things and like just to be a bit more selective.
Yeah. But no, you're really right. So it was quite a few months ago now, actually. So let's say I've been hammering LinkedIn since October 2022. I've had it the whole time I've been in business, but I actually started. I was like, okay, what am I not doing lead gen wise?
Consistently posting.
I used to post like once every 6 months. So it's like, I was like, okay, what am I not doing lead gen wise? Let's look at LinkedIn, blah, blah. And there was a big story of like how I found one person, then went around this rabbit hole, and it's how I met pretty much every single guest you've had on. Like it's how I ended up meeting all of them. And it really was like value driven. But then the bit that I noticed they wasn't doing, which I happily called them out for, was me going, oh, hey, like, I noticed you obviously know this person. Can you possibly introduce me? And no other context, just to meet me. I'm not buying anything. I'm not selling anything. I just want to meet them. That's it. And I literally had people go, no, why?
Really?
Yeah, just like, why?
People you knew, like friends?
Oh, God, yeah. Why? Because they didn't get it. I'm like, I just want to meet them. Like, I maybe see some collaboration. But it's not just that because of, and I'll keep mentioning this word throughout this whole podcast, networking. Like, because of it, then people don't know why, actually. I might have another 18 people for that one person to meet. I won't know until I have that conversation.
Yeah, context is important.
Like, I can see them, but then they can say a couple of things. I'm like, oh, well, I've got this person, I've got that person, I've got that speaking gig, I've got a podcast you can go on, I've got this, but they don't know that context. So for me, their value to me as a person now has just gone down. So I'm like, actually, I could introduce you to an abundance of people, investors, non-executive directors, consultants that you need, people that are offering free help for testimonials at the moment because they're trying to start the business out. If you're not willing to give me the time, why am I going to do it?
It's a give and take. You don't want to constantly be giving and getting nothing back, because then almost because then you become, like you said before, like about reputation and how people perceive you. You don't want to be known as the guy who just is give and push over, and he's like, oh, well, because you have to be a little bit, especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that, but I mean, you have to be a bit, I don't want to say the word ruthless, but you have to respect your own time and yourself, essentially, because the buck stops with you. No one's gonna, you're your own boss. You can't complain to your manager or your mom. like, listen, this person called me this, or LinkedIn, or this person, treated me like this. It's like, well, no one cares, because that's just life. But then you also have to be like, well, what do I do next time to avoid that situation, I guess. But you sound like you've had quite a few negative bad experiences.
No, I haven't. And like, I'd like to say in that time, these people have maybe learned a bit more from that, because I've also then, I've still gone, okay, maybe you didn't get it. And also, I think at first, the way I went about it wasn't correct.
Okay.
Because remember, I was kind of new to this platform. I networked differently before. I was a bit like, maybe the way I did this
approach was maybe wrong.
Yeah, it was just a bit wrong. So I also learned something from it. And since then, it's got better. But I was recently on a panel discussion.
Yes.
I was on Richard's panel discussion.
How was that?
Phenomenal.
Good.
Right? I was a bell end as usual. And what was the word? No, I kept calling myself a prat. Well, I was like, I'm such a prat. That was literally the word. I was like, I'm such a prat. But the thing is, with like that, and this is legit thing that I had to actually correct people on. So I got asked to be on the podcast, and I know Richard's a very good friend. He'd also, but I don't need him to, is my point. I know of it. But then he was struggling for like a venue, for example, in Manchester. And he was like, oh, hey, you live there. I don't. Is there any chance you can, do you know any venues? We'll contact them, we'll do whatever. And I was like, actually, I know somewhere, once again, networking, good friend, I'll hook you guys up, and we end up hosting it there. A few people that I know that came, and I've told you all, and I've called you all out, and I'll do it again, is that they thought I got on it because I helped organise it.
I see.
And I was like, no. I got on it because of the value and everything else I can give.
Yeah.
But as a thank you for getting me on it and being a good friend and helping someone out, I did it. It doesn't always have to be this transactional relationship.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be transactional. Like, I've done it because a friend asked and someone needed help. It might not have even known me. Someone said your name, you live in Manchester. Hope you don't mind me asking, do you know any venues? Like,
what takes you 5 minutes?
It just doesn't have to be transactional. Yeah. And I disagreed with someone's LinkedIn post the other day that said they don't do coffee chats. What? So it was like, I always have to, the person will know this as well, by the way. It's like, but I didn't disagree with that. I understand where they was coming from. They was talking about return on time. It was all about what's my return on time. You know, I look at the value of everything I do every minute and blah. And I went, that's great. But the bit you're missing out on is the magic in the things you're not doing. So if you're not doing that coffee chat, you don't know, once again, that collaboration, the opportunities, the potential clients, everything else that comes from that. And if you're not looking for any of that, that's fine. You're an idiot, but that's fine. But you don't know the magic's going to come from that stuff. And I've built a business of 6 years from doing that. I've also had times where I've not done it and I've seen the repercussions of me not doing it because I've seen the value it does.
Yeah, sweat the small stuff. Because
yeah, it's just like, the return time, jumping on a 20-minute call with someone. If you can't do 20 minutes to get some value, share some value, gain some value, see some magic in something, are you going to have a shit 20 minutes every now and again? Yeah. Suck it up, it's 20 minutes. But you could have a 20 minutes with someone where you could get the biggest contract of your whole business's life. Someone might come to you and go, actually, can I buy your business off you? Don't know unless you get on the coffee chat, do you?
Yeah.
But yeah, so as you can tell, people got my tits. But no, it is all this like give without take, and that's why the business came from me. It was all about just sharing, going back to your point of like the LinkedIn post, it's all about this extra stuff and just giving people that value, which is a very long-winded way of mentioning, getting back to what you said.
No.
But yeah, but that is why I do the LinkedIn post like I do, all the content, all the lead magnets. There's no gatekeeping. I'm like, have it. Just have it. If you want me, I'm here. If you don't, have a go yourself. If you get stuck, pop me a message.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm here about. I can't work with everyone in the world.
No, you can't help everyone.
And I don't want to.
No, it's too many people.
Like, I know how many people I want to work with.
Yeah.
Why does that mean I should stop then helping further people? Where's my morals?
Just because it's not a contractual agreement, doesn't it?
Yeah, once again, it's not transactional. I don't need it to be.
Useful, helpful, or...
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like, it's a good thing. I mean, like, I'm really bad with quotes. Denzel Washington, he always says it in his, he does like speeches at colleges. And it's like, you know, pay someone for, like, you get forward, pay someone, pay it back. So it's like if someone gives you an opportunity at a job or an internship, and then you end up being the CEO, you then go to universities and be like, who wants an internship? And not, just give it back. Or if your friends, you start a business and it does really well, and your friend starts a business 3 years later, and he's, he's making all the mistakes you made at the start, and you can sit him down and be like, no, do this, I'll help you do this. You don't get anything out of it. You're just helping a mate. That might mean everything to him. And it's like I said, it doesn't always have to be transactional.
Yeah.
We don't live in a world where we're like, it's not Wolf of Wall Street. We're not, doing lines off bathroom stalls and like trying to fuck over the other guy. It's about being a decent person while also retaining profit margins, I guess is the the best way of saying it.
Massively. But like on kind of like a final note of it or something like of it is, it's similar to like the butterfly effect. So it's like I'm a school governor of my old high school.
Oh, really? That's cool.
So in Hull. So I've done that now for...
Which school's that?
I can't say.
Okay.
Sorry. It's on my LinkedIn, but I can't say on this. So it's like I've done that I'm in my 5th academic year. So I'm like 4.5 years in doing it. The reason I went to do it was to talk about careers, self-employment, blah, blah. Sent the application in. You have to apply. It's a voluntary role, by the way. Don't get paid for it. It takes about 30 hours a year from a diary.
That's not much, is it?
To give back.
It's a day and a half.
Of my life, a year.
Yeah.
Like I can do more if I want to, but naturally that's as much as I can do because of my diary and schedules. I still do something. I could do less if I needed to, but I do it to give back. And the whole reason I said I'd do it was if I can impact one child's life to become self-employed or to even to go the career route, but I've had some impact on it. I've done my job when I was doing that. It's the reason I went and did it, and I can die a happy man. And my birthday last year, which is January 6th, I was laid in a hostel bed in Rome, and I woke up to an Instagram message from this ex-student who had a few meetings with me. And he was like, like since I left school like a year or two ago, I've now made like over £1,000 flipping sneakers.
Nice.
And I was like, I've done my job.
Yeah.
Like, I've done my job with that now. Like I still do it because I love it, but I've done my job doing it. And once again, that full thing that I do with that isn't physically transactional. Does it make me feel good? Yeah. But I did it to impact at least one person's life. Once again, someone going, I can't find 20 minutes. I give 30 hours a year and I've impacted someone's life.
It's 20 minutes.
Like, literally 20 minutes. You just don't know what's going to come from it.
No, you don't. I think that's...
It's the butterfly effect, sorry. It's like, it's that giving back bit. Now, hopefully he'll go, actually, that guy really helped me when he's a bit older. I've seen a younger version of me now, like that guy probably saw in me. Let me help him.
And he might even get you a personalised pair of sneakers. You never know.
I hope so, because he's flipping proper sneakers as well. It was real funny.
Like when the airs and the...
proper ones. Like when he was telling me about it in like the little private meetings when he was at the school, and he was like, I'm flipping sneakers. I was like, so you're doing them on X-Trade? And he was like, yeah, you know the platform. I'm like, yeah. Like, it's just the fact once again that they're like, like I'm not actually spouting crap. This lad's obviously going, I'm on the right platform then. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Because he's like, it's not just a random dodgy website. I'm actually doing something with it. So
that's impressive, isn't it? How cause and effect is so important, especially with people as well, like people you impact. I think as well, like younger people as like, being 18, 19, 20, not knowing what you want to do, going to universities where you don't even think you're only going because there's no other path, or I dropped out of one uni, joined another because I didn't realise what I wanted to do, and I found marketing and then joined Leeds, and it wouldn't have known if I hadn't gone to Bradford to do that 1 year in finance to do the market side. I would have known that I wanted to do marketing. Do you know what I mean? So it's little things like that where you have to sometimes mess up. I mean, it was a $9,000 mistake, but still paying for it now. Well, I think we've all been paying for our students.
I keynote at universities, mate, and tell people to drop out.
Yeah. I bet they love it.
I always tell the lecturers, and they're like, and one lecturer actually said the best explanation, which is he said, I'd rather you do that because then there's people that are probably considering it that probably should because it's better for them. That's the route they want to take. I'd rather keep the students that want to stay. Well, yeah, because
they're not showing. The ones who don't want to be there probably aren't want to show up in the morning.
Like, do it. It's like, tell them to drop out. And I give an example. I've never been to uni. I went to culinary school. Like, that's what I did. I literally left culinary school, worked in bars, restaurants, became events manager, took my training from that, got sick of working with other people, launched my first business. I've been doing it for 6 years. So I just winged it.
Yeah, 6 years. I wasn't asked what was kind of like the catalyst for you starting your own business, do you think? Was there
I got sick of working with dickheads. Oh my God, the last guy that pushed me into it.
I've worked hospitality for many years, and I can tell you I'm still scarred from some places.
So I'm not. I love hospitality.
Okay.
And it's like an itch I can't scratch. Love it.
Okay.
Like right now, I could jump behind a bar, I could work in a restaurant, I could do whatever. And like most entrepreneurs, I'd say my get out plan for business is open a little coffee shop.
That'd be cool.
There's a joke about this, that most entrepreneurs want to leave and open a coffee shop.
Why? I was thinking like coffee shop and a surf shop, like abroad.
Yeah, like something like that. Like mine's like a little house in Italy with a vineyard making 6 bottles of wine, and then I bring it to the coffee shop in Manchester.
Yeah.
Don't sell the wine, I just drink it.
Yes.
And then I'm sat at the back with a little Bang & Olufsen speaker and just chill out. But
that'd be cool.
So the reason, what was your question? I love it. I love ADHD. Honestly,
what was the catalyst you wanted to start your own business from hospitality?
It's stuff like that. Like I couldn't imagine that, but the hospitality bit, it's not a job; it's a lifestyle. It's one of very few careers. Like being in the military, I'd like to believe it's not just a career; it's a lifestyle because you have to live and breathe it.
Yeah, and die.
Quite literally.
Yeah,
it's like same with the hospitality. You live and breathe it because of the hours, because the people you work with become your friends. You work all the holidays, you celebrate everything with them. It becomes a lifestyle. And I was like, I love hospitality. And there is money in it, but it takes many years. I'm impatient. And I couldn't ever see myself getting out of my home city. I now have. I've been out of it, 2 years. So I could never see making a career out of it in that city. And then all my life I've wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I've actually volunteered at independent dog rescue from the age of 13 to 23.
Wow.
Honestly, there's loads.
I love dogs, to be fair. So that'd be.
I did it. So obviously, I mainly did it from like 13 to 17. So this was every Saturday, by the way. Every half term in school, I was there every day. Loved it. And it was a charity shop with a little warehouse on the back with an office because it had one shop, one office. It was all in the same place. I learned so much from that, from 80-year-old women. Like Val and Pat, adore you both. Now I've mentioned this, I'll have to send them to it. But like I learned so much from that. And I remember this one time, I was at Kallum School, and Val and Pat, for example, was like, "Hey, Lovey," that's how she speaks. "Hey, Lovey, we're at a presentation for the local council near college. Can we come along? Because it's about getting youth into voluntary roles and how they can entice it." So there was me and another girl that kind of started this at this charity. And because of that, it became known for it. And at this talk, Val, with a walking stick, walked on the stage, pointed at me and said, "If this boy does not have his own business by the age of 30, even if I'm dead, I'll come back and find out why." So I think the entrepreneurial aspect has always been a part of it. No, it just wasn't what capacity was I going to do it in. And I think definitely that push into it was I was sick of working for idiots. I was sick of not being valued. Some of my best jobs that I've had, I've worked for like chains and things like that. Some of the best, literal best jobs I've ever had, especially in hospitality aspect. But once again, with what I do now for a job, I used to do this then. I went on one of them, "What's your why" days. And like, you see, it is a bit that. But like,
I see
it is. But like, I went on one of these, what is your why? I can answer it as well. And the point is that I went on it. It turns out what I do now for a business and a career, I've always thought that way in other jobs and even in school, because that's how far back they go. You know, was you like this in school when you was in like group projects? You know, was you the one that always like kept on top of it, made sure it all worked properly, keep everyone organised, that kind of thing? Yeah. When I used to be employed, I used to spot like, you know, "Oh, we're not doing this. Can this be a bit better? Why we're not doing it this way? This bit would be a little better." And a lot of people think like that, but they don't realise that when the boss shoots it down, they're shooting it down because they don't see it, you do. You know, no one sees what you see. So it's after that so long, and I started going into business. I had my first business, like I said, that was a retail business. Started implementing some of this, and then other people are having the same issues, help them with it, and it pushed into what I do now. So I was just sick of other people not understanding that's deep, not understanding my greatness.
Yeah, no, I think it's just a testament to say like that would be more you not being in the place you needed to be.
Oh God, yeah.
But maybe you had to do that to be where you are now. Because maybe if you'd skipped the hospitality and started a business when you left school, maybe you wouldn't be where you are now. You might be better. You might be better off. You might be worse. Like, who knows? But it's like a butterfly effect, right?
Yeah, because the thing is, what I do now, I never realised was a job.
Well, technically,
it's not.
No, it is. Like, it is, but
it's like 6 people's different roles. So like, what we do is like 6 different people's roles.
Okay.
I didn't know I knew all that.
No, until you did it.
Like until I did it. Because people come to me with a problem, and now to fix it, just offer, "Oh yeah, so if we do this, do that. Oh, that'd fix it." People are like, "How does your brain work like that?" I'm like, you know, ADHD. So it's like
it's a beautiful thing.
It's a spicy brain. So it's like help them with that. And then I realised actually I'm good at this stuff. And one of my best friends, Michelle, she's 56. She's been a PA, maybe 55.
She won't hear
she's been, you say that.
Yeah. Okay.
So she's been a PA, personal assistant, executive assistant, right up to the like director of NHS level for 36 years. She's now freelance. She's been freelance for about 4 or 5 years. And I was not insulted because she went, "How do you know how to do this? Like, how do you know how to do it?" So I was like, "Well, I just do." She went, "But I've been through training to do this for 30 something years." I went, "Okay. The difference is that I can do it. Maybe you're just a bit more meticulous and a little bit more detailed than what I am, but I will become that. You're me further along."
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm you when you was learning." But the difference is I've learned it, I'm doing it, or now I will do like anything is develop that skill. I'm like, so that's different. So she's like, "Oh, I didn't think." I went, "Because of, you know, internet and blah, blah. You don't need to go on all these training courses anymore." But the way my brain works is give me a problem. My job's to find the solution.
Yeah.
So it's because of all them things. And like you say, with the employer, it's them not understanding that pushed me into it. And maybe if I got a job in admin or operations or something, it'd be a bit different. But that's what pushed me into it. It's just I was absolutely sick of working for idiots that didn't understand how my brain works because I didn't understand it.
Yeah, I suppose there's nothing more frustrating than having to work with someone or with people who just don't care. I think there's like I remember going to work, especially on weekends and bar work and stuff like that, and just thinking people just that was kind of like it was work in the week and then work on the weekend and then go out on the Saturday night, and there was no the things, you had the same conversations, the same small talk. And I used to just dread going to work, not because I didn't like serving people or, customers or hospitality. There's the odd dickhead here and there, which is like with everything or anywhere you go. But it was just, no one cared. There was no love. It was just, we're here to make a wage. Checking the hours to see when the next, if I made another £5.50 or whatever it was when you're a student.
Isn't it funny that an hour of your life is worth £5.50?
Mate, my friend told me she worked at a restaurant. She was 17. She was on £3.30 an hour. Doing
So yeah, mine was 362.
That was obviously, this is like 6 years ago.
Oh God, yeah. So I'm 28. When
ago.
I was 17, 16, I think I was on £3.62.
That's criminal. Surely.
An hour.
That can't be legal.
That's minimum wage. That's what it was.
It's gone up now. It's
£3.62 an hour. It went up from £3.58.
Compared to people who were working there probably on like £20 an hour doing the same thing.
Yeah.
That always drove me mad. And it was just because it was an age thing. But then I think that I fell into that trap of like, when I was excited for something and over time it beats you down. And after 3 months, you literally are the same person. You don't care. You just don't want to do the extra work. And it's not because you're not a hard worker. It's just because you're being put in a situation, an environment where you're not supposed to actually thrive. And it's probably, that's maybe that little feeling in your head is probably like, you need to get out.
Yeah.
Because you're getting too comfortable. And it happens a lot with, it's like, I think no innovation comes from, staying in the what is it, the comfort zone or whatever it is.
Once again, it's that cliche phrase of the magic is in the thing that you're not doing.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't grow in your comfort zone.
You need to do the thing because no one's going to do the thing for you.
And you get people that try and they start debating it. And I always say that they're the ones that have got a toe still in the comfort zone. They're kind of reaching in out of it, but they've kept a toe in it because I can always go back. And they're the ones that have the potential and they're thinking about self-employment. They're thinking about self-employment. They're dabbling in it a little bit. They're researching them or they're pushing themselves out of it, but they're keeping that toe in it.
It's scary though to just quit your job and, take on something completely new. I know your 20s is a good time to do that because you haven't got, not for everyone, but your kids and
that's why I did it.
Yeah, because it's like, I know if I need to travel to say Boston or New York, or I'd have to worry about telling my wife and my partner or my 3 kids that I'm not going to be home for the weekend because I'm off, working and drinking margaritas and wherever it is. So I think there's definitely I'm trying to think of the word. There's definitely a scary thing about being, say, an entrepreneur. And I mean, that does lead on to my next question about how do you, what's it like being, because you are, I know people don't like saying I'm an entrepreneur or business owner or
some people stand the word.
I prefer the word content creator because it sounds a little less seedy.
Still sounds bellend.
Yeah.
Absolute bellend. But one of the nicest words I want, and it was Ali Abdal, I believe, that created the word. It was creatorpreneur. Creatorpreneur.
So I guess that's technically what.
So it's like content creation tied in with entrepreneurship. Maybe it's done by creating content, which then leads to clients, or you're selling courses, or you're making money through YouTube, which is what he was mainly selling that as.
Yeah.
I actually quite like that term.
I think it'll stick.
I don't think it did. Sorry, Ali. I don't think it did. Okay. But there's loads of it's like mumpreneur. So people put that in the Facebook. I'm like, oh my God, get a grip. Yummy mummy. I told you you shouldn't have had me on this podcast, mate, honestly. But so what question was it, sorry?
What's it like being an entrepreneur?
Oh,
I know you said earlier it was
stressful.
I said earlier, you said that guy said you're going to be very lonely because I think you are pretty much you are the business. Your face is the business. You have to do the work. No one's going to do it for you. And a lot of the time, unless you're doing stuff with clients or you have employees, you are going to be by yourself a lot. And I do find that myself. I'm always driving to London alone. I'm always editing alone. I'm always doing the content.
Oh, it's lonely as anything.
You're just doing it all by yourself. And obviously, occasionally we have producer here or someone won't be the guest, will be their friend or there's a photographer.
I have no friends. Sorry, mate.
You could have brought someone in to sit there. I mean, I think a lot of time people. Well, to be honest with podcasts, a lot of time people feel awkward when someone's in the room, especially if there's someone they know, because then they feel like they can't be proper authentic because they're still, catering for someone else in the room. So it's sometimes good not to have someone else there. But yeah, I don't know. I think it is kind of lonely. I don't know. You said that yourself. Do you find that too?
Oh, it's lonely as shit.
Yeah.
And I have clients, for example, I've got a business partner. And I'm like, that don't mean it's not lonely. You can be sat in the company of someone and still be lonely.
Yeah.
You're dealing with your own problems. There's a beautiful word, which is sonder. I'm going to minimize what it means.
Okay.
But it's basically the realization that other people's lives are as complex as one's own.
Okay.
So it's like passing by in the street, you could go going through your own shit, other people could, blah, blah, blah. But you could be like, oh my God, woe is me. Actually, the person probably passing you by in the street is also going through their own troubles right now. Like, you know, suck it up, girl. Like, you're absolutely fine. But yeah, no, it's definitely lonely. I think it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing that if you figure out the type of entrepreneur you want to be, which is a broad spectrum of a phrase, figuring out the type of entrepreneur you want to be. What does that mean when you're starting out, you know? When you start out, what does that mean? Which I think ties to what do you want to be an entrepreneur for? It still means it's stressful. It still means it's everything. It still means it's all these things. But unless you can answer them questions, you know, what's it like being an entrepreneur? It's different for everyone. But I think the main bit is just understand it's lonely. And if people go, you know, watching this and no entrepreneur, go, I ain't lonely. I ain't lonely. If you're not, wait till maybe shit hits the fan. Or maybe like as a lot of the big people say, like once you make all your millions or you achieve what you want to do, what do you do next? I know a good friend of mine, like he's not making millions. He's business successful. He makes a good amount of money. He travels the world. He's gone, I'm stuck. I could make more money if I want, but I don't want the extra workload. I'm happy with it. But I'm bored. Like I'm now meh. Like what do I do? And I think that is definitely the bit where you just need to understand that it's lonely as shit. It's hard. And if I could give you a piece of advice, if you're shit at finances in your personal life, fix it, because however you are in your personal life, you'll bring into your business.
That's very true.
So like, that as well. Yeah, so if you're an idiot in your personal life, you'll be an idiot when you come in. I got a business loan with my first business. Did I need one? Did I fuck? Did I want 15 grand in my bank? Absolutely.
What was the interest rate on that?
Not that bad, actually. It was really good. I think you had to pay like an extra 2.5 grand on top as long as I kept up with the payments. Oh, it was really good. But it was before Brexit. But then I had a business partner with the first business, and I woke up one night and he stole half of it and gambled it.
No.
What's that being an entrepreneur? Oh, bliss.
No.
Stressful as fuck. Oh, God, yeah.
He stole out your bank account?
Yeah.
Well, it was a joint account.
Yeah, joint account, so technically, but all the money was mine.
What, he gambled, like literally like...
Yeah, and to this day, he's still one of my closest friends.
Like casinos and... Is it like...
Yeah. If he bought a car or anything, I would have just made him sell it and just...
Gambled like half that. Jeez. That is... Are you still friends with him?
Yeah.
It's forgiveness, man. Jeez.
Oh, don't forgive him.
It's still a dick, just... Yeah.
No, he's still my friend and we get on... We're not as close as we used to be, but that's just life.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But for years afterwards, absolute best mates still. And the reason why is, and I decided it on the day, and I remember being with one partner at the time, and he woke up to me crying. I was like, oh my God. Like, what's happened? I put a brick through the guy's window to break into his house. Woke him up. What the fuck's my money? I'm from Hull.
That's making sense.
Like, literally, like, I'm from Hull.
And I'm from Huddersfield.
Yeah, he's from Huddersfield. Christ. My parents are siblings, these are distant cousins. And if you're from anywhere in the middle, you've got web
Takes my abs really.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, if you're from anywhere in the middle, you've got web feet. Or no feet, depends. So I broke in basically and did whatever. And I decided there and then, I was angry. To this day, it still pisses me off. But what would that have achieved?
Nothing.
There was not a fresh car on the drive, or fresh-ish. There was like nothing. There was nothing to show for it. So I was like, "There's physically nothing I can do for this. Could I take a small claims court? Could I do whatever? Yeah. Does he have the money to replace it? No. That's why he gambled it and stole it. So it was like, how I deal with this now will impact me. It was probably the first form of like self-realization and self-development I've probably ever gone through, which was how I handle this now will impact me for the rest of my life. Not with him as a friend. How I trust people as an employer. Do I trust people handling my money? Do I trust the head of finance? Because I had a business partner that screwed me over.
That's true, actually.
It's like how I dealt with that would have impacted me for the rest of my life in business and in my personal life. So if I had a partner, say we've got a joint bank account, I've had this horrendous experience. Do you think I would have had any trust for that? Probably not.
Yeah, that's all it puts you a bit on edge, isn't it? Because then you're like, who do I trust? If I can't even trust my own business partner with my money, how can I trust an accountant?
My best friend.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my best friend, like, I chose this person.
Yeah, that's what, because then also again, after that, you can be like, it's my fault. Because I chose him to be my business partner. I chose him to, you know, for us to have a joint account. I probably knew he maybe like gambling a little bit. Maybe I should have used some foresight. But again, you trust, you like to think your friends are your friends.
Yeah, but now it's, okay, so now I know about shareholder agreements. Now I know about doing credit checks.
Yeah.
Now I know about having a lawyer.
Yeah, it's
now
smart.
I know about getting it done with a bank account. Now I'll know all these things, which once again ties in what I do for a business when I work with people that have got business partners, especially younger founders.
Yeah.
That don't have the shareholder agreements. They actually don't know what each other's financial literacy is like. Who who's in charge of the money? Why are you both paying invoices? Why is not one person in charge of it? That's why mistakes happen.
Yeah, that is interesting, actually. I never thought about how it would, like, having a business partner that if you didn't know, because it happens a lot. It must happen a lot where you have a lot of people showboating especially in cities. I'm thinking London, I don't know why, where people make out they have a lot more money than they do. Well, it's the world, isn't it? Everything's on Klarna knives, and everyone can have a Gucci jacket and a North Face puffer because you can just send it back to the next day, or you can.
You still only got 3 teeth.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Like, I guess in Hull, man, but Huddersfield, I don't know.
They've got no teeth.
But I guess it's that. It's that kind of like the way people like portray themselves in this light of, you see the nice cars on the road, and it's like, but do you own that? Like, how much finance you paid on it? 9% of the time, they're paying out of their ass for a car just for someone else.
Absolutely. And I was saying this the other day. So it's like a few weeks ago, I flew to Porto in Portugal for the weekend.
It's nice, isn't it?
Love it. Been a few times now. Absolutely love it when I go now. I've got favourite restaurants, stay in the same hostel. And this ties in with all of it. People are like, oh, you flew to Porto for the weekend. My flight was 35 quid. I stayed in a hostel. It's a fucking lovely hostel. Like, I'll happily give them a shout out. It's phenomenal. I'm going back. I'm hopefully going back for maybe 2 months, staying in the same place. I've got my favourite places I go to. I was there for a full weekend, 2 nights, because I got bored on a £35 return flight. I paid 50 quid for my accommodation for the 2 nights. I ate out 3 times a day and probably spent no more than 200 quid for the weekend.
Jeez.
The wealthy aspect of that, going back to, like the question of being an entrepreneur, is the freedom I've got to be able to do it.
Yes, time.
Don't mean I've just spent 8 grand to do it. Like, I've just flew there on helicopter because it was faster than the hour and 15-minute flight. And then I got a fucking chauffeur and not an Uber because I'm an absolute pleb. Like, no.
It's a succession.
The wealth I've got
Yeah.
is the freedom aspect. I've now got, thanks to the fact I've got a MacBook on my full business, I can work anywhere. I've got all freedoms if I want them. The only one I don't push is time freedom in the form of working in Asia due to time zones, because I don't want that. That's not for me. I don't want to be having the morning to myself and work until 10 p.m. in the evening because of the time difference. I just don't. It's just not for me. But once again, going back to something I said at the very beginning, growth is different to everyone. That is not for me. That's not part of my growth. So it's like, being an entrepreneur is figuring out all them aspects, but going back, with like the clan a bit and all that, you're completely right. But you learn from all this shit.
Yeah.
And once again, we were saying earlier about the vanity metrics of some of the people on LinkedIn. Like, oh, great, they get 5,000 likes. They don't even make £5.
Yeah.
Like, they're making nothing. Maybe they're not even legally allowed to trade in the UK. That's throwing a particular person under the bus. But it is. But, like, it don't mean they're not successful entrepreneurs.
No.
They've just made it look like they are. And I'm like, it's a shame. Because actually, if you did, like me at the minute, I've got I think, as of recording this, 5,500 followers on LinkedIn. I think about 4.8 on Instagram. I've got 100 subscribers on YouTube. Like, you know what I mean?
Like,
no, but like, thanks. Why am I here? Damn it. So it's, but it's like all these things. But I run a successful 6-figure business. Like, and I can travel wherever I want.
When you want, yeah.
This is Massimo Dutti. Bought it off Vinted. You know what I mean? Like, could I buy it all price? Yeah. Why the fuck should I? That's not good sense.
It's stupid.
Like, it was brand new when I bought it with the tags on from Vinted.
It's like Gary Vee says all the time, people make a quick, they'll make a good sale, they'll get a bonus like $40,000 or whatever, obviously in the US, and the first thought is, oh, well, I've got this money now, so I might as well buy that car I've always wanted, or might as well spend 10 grand on a holiday, or whatever it is. And he's like, don't like mistake the fact that you might not make that $40,000 for another year. Yeah. And also, you want to live as cheap as humanly possible in order to, because he's like, you basically thinking small gains. You're thinking, okay, make this much money on the weekend, or I'll do an extra shift, whether I've got an extra 100 quid, so I'll go spend that on whatever you want on a night out. Or it's just that, it's that mindset around money. And I'm really bad at this, if I know I'm getting to get an extra paycheck.
Oh, shit with money, mate.
This month, I'm like, great, I'm already saving stuff, North Face puffers in my basket. I say that because I was literally looking this morning, and North Face it was £100 off. I was like, you know what, I was ordering like Tommy Hilfiger jumpers, even though I just bought the exact same one, but I wanted the red one, but it was half price. And I'm like, but I'll make use of this. In my head, I'm like, I've not even been paid that paycheck yet. And a lot of times, I know it's from past experiences, a lot of time when people promise you paid gigs or jobs or hours, and the amount of times they've fallen through.
Until it signs a contract.
Yeah, and you spend the money in your head, you're like, well, I've got to spend that money now because I already told myself I would. Yeah. And again, it comes back to, you said if you really bad finances in your personal life,
you will
be leak into your business life. And, I'm still I set my own business up technically on company's house. I paid the £11 over it was £12. And then I'm like, I've got to start paying tax. And I'm like, I don't want to have to learn how to do all this. I'm just going to pay an account. I'm just going to get an accountant. But again, is that smarter use of money? I think it is, because I'm paying someone to literally look after my money and my future money and whatever I make, and making sure it's safe, and not having like you happened to you maybe is someone's going into your bank and stealing it, which is that's really bad.
Oh mate, I've got loads of stories. Honestly,
jeez,
that's why I don't do these too much. I bring all the dead bodies out the closet. Honestly,
what would you say the biggest USP of your business is, or what would you say your USP is actually? Because I guess you are the business essentially, aren't you?
Yeah, we've got a bit of a team as well. But we're technically a pod agency, which I do like to throw out there. So, because everyone's now like, oh yeah, why do you say we when you've got all freelancers? It's a new model. As we know, massive, especially in the creative space, people in that kind of space don't want to work fully for an agency anymore. They want to travel because they can. They just need a MacBook. You know what I mean?
And a Wi-Fi.
So that's why now the new model is freelance. I say new. It's not. It's now just been given a posh name.
And it's been revamped a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, since COVID, it's just been zhuzhed up a little bit.
Freelance before used to be, you'd be like, oh, you can't get a proper job. And now apparently freelance world at the moment is thriving. People actually want to be a freelancer because they realise they can be their own boss, make probably double the money, and have no worries about HR and holiday pay. And, obviously you lose benefits and all the community and all that
but then you make your own.
It's true. Make your own culture.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And what really makes me laugh, and if you are watching this and you're thinking you want to be a freelancer or anything, a lot of the time your first client will probably be your actual boss.
Yeah.
Because you'll leave, and then they'll go, well, can I hire you as a freelancer? You'll get more pay because you determine it. You get the flexibility you want because you're your own boss now. People don't realise a lot of the time when you go freelance, if you're working for someone else, most of the time your first client will actually be your own fucking employer. But you get paid more money. And then you're like, why won't you pay me this when I was working for you? And I can tell you now, you probably won't work for them because you'll realise they're an absolute bellend. Going back to why I went self-employed. But my USP for the agency in particular, and for me, it's my brain. And I know that when it comes to a lot of people, but that's obviously it. But when, the meeting I had before recording this, for example, the client would get on there and he's like, I really couldn't do this without the way your brain meticulously thinks. More about so we talk about mapping a lot. So from A to Z, what is that process of processes? And how we look at it and break it down. He's saying things like, yeah, but where's this, where's that? And spotting bottlenecks is probably the biggest thing. I fix problems, which basically bottlenecks, and it's all about solutions, not problems. I spot problems, give solutions, fix them, manage it. So I break every rule, which is everyone says you need to be working on the business and not in it. But once again, we work with a lot of marketing agencies. If you're in a creative space, you want to be doing the creative bit. It's the bit you enjoy. You don't want to be worrying about HR and payroll and that sick employee, blah, blah. You have to, as an employer, you have to be able to understand it. Does that mean you need to worry about it?
You don't have to be taking it day to day. No.
You want to be the one sat with a big whiteboard and drawing and doing everything else. And you want to do the bit you enjoy. A lot of founders that are in the creative space, the bit they enjoy is client management and sales. So they want to be able to focus on that. So I like to think we break the rule book a bit, which is we work on it so you can work in it.
It's a nice way of phrasing it.
I said that once on a passive call and someone was like, say that more.
Say it again.
It's we work on it so you can work in it. Yeah. That is the full point of it. We work on the business. We do 90%. The 10% is what we need you for. So then you can focus on the in, which is the bit you enjoy, the sales, the client management, taking people for dinners, doing this.
Yeah.
The
fun stuff.
And that's what business is. Business is fucking fun. If it's not fun, change the fucking business.
Yeah.
It's the full point of it. Don't get me wrong. I think the most successful businesses are the boring businesses. I always got asked, or every now and again I get asked, if you was going to start a new business from scratch, back when you was 22, with what you know now, what would it be? I said waste management.
Waste management?
Yeah. It's one of the most profitable businesses in the world.
Really?
If I was in it for making profit.
Yeah, you'd be soulless.
They're the ones with the private jets and living on the
waste management. Is it like shit?
Everyone creates just waste, paper waste, shit,
recycling,
rubbish, recycling. Everyone makes waste.
Well, I suppose that makes sense though, because if you think about, it's 8 point whatever billion people in the world. Everyone's got shit. Yeah. Literally.
So it's like the start. You've even got them now where people are cleaning up our old shit when we've dumped it in oceans and stuff. It's one of the most profitable businesses.
I was going to say, you don't really think about, well, I do sometimes when I put recycling out, I'm like, you know, you put something that in a recycling that's not supposed to go in a recycling. You're like, no one's going to notice. Probably don't.
They do. So that first business I did was an eco business. They do. So but that's what I would do if I was if I knew what I knew now and I was 22 and it was like, right, you can start a business. What business will you go into? Waste management. Is it fun? No. So that's what I mean. It's different. I'd be doing that for the money. The lifestyle it could give me would be fun. And the freedoms I'd hope I could build it to give me would be fun, which is, once again, growth is different to everyone, which means the fun is whatever you want that fun to be. That's why it's completely, you need to focus on that. Growth just isn't sales. It's what do you want it to be? What do you want from this? And like I say, for me, business is fucking fun. It's also very fucking stressful. Also, he said I could swear. He did. So yeah, there you go. It's, so the USP is my brain and spotting bottlenecks, fixing them for people and doing it for them so they can focus on the bit they enjoy. That's our bit.
I think that's a great way of saying it. I mean, yeah, I was looking for your like your LinkedIn page and just kind of like, you know, your about you section, and I was trying to figure out kind of how I'd, you know, ask the questions about what you do, because I know you have the same questions like, what do you do? How do you help your clients?
When did you start?
What do you think about personal branding? I mean, all that stuff is important, but I thought what you did was quite interesting, because I don't think I know many people who do that particular. I know people do a lot of the personal branding is a big hot topic at the moment, and I've had people who do personal branding on this, like, you know, Sam and...
I shouldn't pull that first, sorry. I'm like, you're saying the names, and I'm like, oh. No, it is. I think it's just probably like even probably like Sam, like, you know, a lot of the other people I've had on, I think they're also sick of hearing the term personal branding.
Yeah. Because it's like, well, they know what personal branding is. They do it
It's
every
like
day.
COVID, everyone became a coach.
Yeah, and now you don't want to talk about it because
No one wants to call it. It's fucking boring, man.
It's boring. It's all we heard about for 2-3 years.
Yeah, like literally everyone became a coach because everyone could go home. It was the online course that was the most accessible, so everyone became a fucking coach. But on the note with personal branding, I'm probably going to steal one of your questions. You're probably going to ask me, but it's I believe it's relevant. And this was like, once again, that panel discussion I went on. The question on that, for example, was social selling, which ties in with personal branding. So it's like, how do you sell yourself online and so forth? I'm probably describing that really badly, but in a nutshell, it's that. I said, my spin on it is, going back to, once again, the networking aspect, I've built a personal brand. It just didn't got the word followers after it. I'm known offline. Once again, I'm known by the term Kallum with a K. That is my full personal brand if I was going to have one. It's that.
Yeah.
Like, it's Kallum with a K. And the joke from that side, and it was on an online networking meeting, in-person networking meeting 2019, something like that. And someone's like, oh, Kallum with a K, why don't you mention that more? Because I was going, oh, hi, it's Kallum with a K, like, blah, 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 because people always spell my name wrong. It's like when you're on the phone to people, yeah, it's Kallum with a K, like my whole life. So it just became this thing. So now I'll honestly walk into a room, they're like, Kallum with a K, like they literally say that phrase.
That's quite cool.
It's cool. It's become this thing. And I've built my full business from building a personal brand, but I talked about it in different ways in the form of the social selling, and I'll give the same example of, it's all about value for me. That is my personal brand. It's about people either liking me or knowing about me. I don't care if they don't like me. I don't stick around. It makes my life a whole lot more fucking fun. Like, I really don't care. But it's all about that bit. So for me, the bit people forget about in personal branding is the personal bit. Take away the AL, person. They forget about the person bit. And when people online would talk about vanity metrics and all this other stuff. In business, and I've been around the block, I might only be 28, but I've been in business for 6 years. Most of my business friends are actually older business people, so I'd like to say they've rubbed off on me quite a lot. I've been around the block. I can spot an idiot a mile off. I can spot a fake a mile off. I can also spot authenticity a mile off. You know, speaking about a particular person before, and I was like, I love them. Part of a particular sector, I was like, I absolutely adore them because just they're so authentic.
Yeah.
And like they're unapologetically them, which they're a lovely person. I also love people that are dickheads if they're still themselves, like me. I'd like to say I'm lovable. I'd like to think I'm likable. I'm also known for being politely blunt, is how I word it. Others call it direct, but I just call it spicy nice. So it's like, but I'm known for being that, but there's always some love, some laughter and everything else. I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. I'm here to get a job done. And that's the same with the personal branding and helping people for me. And I think it is a massive thing. I do agree that everyone needs to be working on it. Stephen Bartlett talks about invisible PR. I don't know if you've ever seen that video. But for anyone that hasn't, he talks about when a girl was coming for a promotion and when he was back at Social Chain, and out of everyone, she got it because one time when she was in an office, someone like stubbed a toe and cut the toe or something, and they ran to the local like chemist, got some plasters, for them. It was like invisible PR. He said, that's a manager that I want for their team because they're a leader, they care for them, they look after them. And something so minute as running to the local chemist to get some plasters for them is the reason they got that job.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Invisible PR. And going back to, like I say, about the coffee chats and people not wanting to do it and not introducing me. Invisible PR. You don't see that PR that you're doing. And Saffron will probably love that I'm talking about this because me and Era talked about this a lot. So it's like you don't realise these little things and you really need to do it. So it's like for me, I actually call myself out if I think I've been a bit rude to someone and I'll happily follow up with them. Because like I say, sometimes a bit blunt, maybe go on.
Yeah.
And I call myself out because my argument is that I'm never wrong, but I'll hold my hands up when I am because I'll always stand by what I say. I always believe in what I'm saying. But if someone actually goes, actually, he was really wrong with that because of X, Y, and Z, I'm like, do you know what?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Fair enough. And that doesn't mean I'm egotistical for it. I'm not just going to say stuff if I don't believe in it.
Yeah. You're not a people pleaser. You're not.
No, I'm not.
You're not necessarily going to apologise because.
I argued with a client last week.
Yeah.
I called him a dickhead. I was like,
the thing is, you being. I think that's the thing about being yourself, and like you said, being unapologetically authentic. And I think I respect people who have literally themselves. And I've fully said that about people liking you because I had a guy on my podcast last year, and he's very well connected, very well known. And I remember saying to my friend Oscar, and I met him recently, and I said to Oscar, I was like, I don't think he likes me very much. And Oscar was like, you don't need him to like you.
No.
You just need him to respect you. And he does, because the fact he came up to you, gave you a handshake, asked you how you were, how the business was doing, how the podcast was doing. And he gave, it was a smile. He might not necessarily be your best friend, but does it really matter? Because you're not going to go for coffee with him every Friday. And I was like, yeah, that's true, actually. And he goes, and then I thought about it, and I was like, I've been carrying a lot of weight from people's opinions of do they like me? I'm like, do I care?
Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one.
Yeah. Does it actually matter if they respect me and they think I'm authentic and they think I'm being real and they're being real? Then that's absolutely fine.
I see opinions about how Billy Connolly explains about being offended.
Billy Connolly's the
comedian.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he explains about being offended. He's like, what happens when you're offended? Nothing. Like being pissed off and angry, that's an emotive response. Being offended, it's like, oh, I don't like that. Like someone's opinion. What happened with their opinion of you? What happens?
It's usually because there's some kind of a lot of time people are offended because there's sometimes a truth. Sometimes if they'll say something for someone thinks about themselves and they're like, if someone's like, oh, Sim works Sim probably could work a bit harder on the podcast.
Yeah, you're like, I probably could.
That doesn't affect me.
I've
been telling myself that every day. You're not wrong. I agree. But if someone's like, you're not as strong at the gym as you thought it was, I'd be like, oh, that hurts because I know I'm not and I wish I was. But they know that. But I'm not going to tell them that because then it's like they've got a one-up on me. So I usually just be like, okay, that's fine. I'm not that strong. But it does maybe offend me, but you have to choose to be offended as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais says that a lot, doesn't he? You have to choose to be offended.
Yeah, exactly. You choose to be offended. Absolutely, 100%. It ties in with the Billy Connolly stuff. I don't know where it's come from with me, because obviously I've gone through some shit in life, personal life, business. And when I was on holiday in Porto, I really like Porto, by the way. When I was on holiday in Porto, I met this lovely guy called Tony from America. And we just spent a bit of time together, but he was in the hostel. He was like, oh, should we go get some food? He's like, I've been listening to you and talking to you all day and asking you a lot of questions about your business. He said, how are you just so... And I went, zen. He was like, yeah. He was like, you just don't really care. I went, I don't know. I think maybe because I cared so long for what people thought. Like when I was starting out in business and when I first started going to actual physical networking events, for about the first 6 months, I just want me. And I was like, why is no one talking to me? Why is no one caring? I remember one day I just called this guy up for being a bellend and everyone loved me. Because I was this young guy in the room that was being the young entrepreneur in the room. That's how I was. As much as I hate the word and I prefer the word founder, but it was. So yeah, no, opinions and all like that, I don't really give a flying fuck about. If you don't, like I say, if you don't like me, stick around. It makes my life a whole lot more fucking fun. I'll try and offend you way more. That's what I'll try and do.
I've got a few more questions for you. We always ask guests this because it's about what the pod's about, but how would you define success if you could for yourself?
I saw it when you sent me this question. I might have just broken it then, you send questions to people.
We don't always send questions. Only the ones
it's
we
just
like.
an overview. It's just an overview. I got asked this question when I was starting out, I think 22, by a very successful solicitor who owned a lawyer's firm. It was like, what does success mean to you? And my answer's probably not changed. It's probably just evolved. So the answer I gave back to him, which was about 5 years ago, was being able to walk past a restaurant and not having to look at the prices on the menu and just being able to choose to eat there.
That's a good one.
I'm working class.
Yeah, so
I'm beyond working class. I come from, I hate the term, but broken home. Both my parents are in my life, but like, you know, they've never been together my whole life. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. I've only ever known my siblings to work alongside me, which is where I get my work ethic from, coming back to like the, you know, the voluntary work and everything like that. My mum was doing her dissertation at the age of her degree at the age of 36 when I was a child. So I've known my mum to go through that whilst having 6 jobs at the same time and all that thing. And I remember us eating out. There's a point to this because actually, my mum does watch this. I don't want her to get upset, but it's like, you know, where we'd go eat out and she's like, "Can you look at the prices on the menu? Like, get whatever you want as long as you eat it. But can you look at the prices?" Whereas now, I can bring my mum to Manchester for a night, blow $1,000 on her, treat her to what I want. Because my mum's not working, you know, she's middle class now. She brought herself up. She brought us up. She was like, I don't want this for my family. I don't want it for myself. Don't want it for my kids. So now the fact I can do that, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is really lovely." And I'm like, "You're in a Nero, not a Costa." Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just completely different, for example. Like, it's just one mild example. And in Manchester, there's some really lovely posh bars and
some nice bars.
You know, and my mum's physically disabled now, and being able to take her to them and all them lovely things and everything like that. And, you know, it's just part of it. So I guess success is being able to now do the evolution of that, which is be able to elevate not just my life, but other people's lives. But being able to impact someone else. I think success for me is you can die a happy man if you've been able to elevate people's lives, elevate your own life, and being able to have an impact positively on someone else.
It's a great answer, man. It's probably the best answers you've had. Genuinely, yeah, it's good.
That was just off the top of my tongue, off the tip of my tongue as well. But no, yeah, that's it's a massive thing for me coming from nothing. My dad's still on minimum wage. He's been in the same workplace for 30 plus years. No, that's a lie. 15 plus years, sorry. He's been in the same industry for 30 plus years. Same workplace at the moment, 15 plus years. Still on minimum wage, he's 56. Says simple man, he likes fishing, likes snooker, does whatever else. He's just like, for me, I'm doing stuff and he's like, "You do whatever." Yeah,
I like people who are chill. I like people who are like, they know what they like and they don't, you know, some people just don't, they don't have that voice in the head saying, why are you doing more? And I kind of like that some people enjoy life without having to always have like a monetary figure. Like, what's next?
I had a lovely realization with this. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
A friend called Lindsay of mine, it was just before Christmas actually. And I was talking about my heating bill. I didn't like how high it was. And I was like, so I work for more coffee shops now over winter to reduce my heating bill.
Smart.
Yeah. And she went, "Ooh," she's a coach. She was like, she's not my coach, but she is a coach. She was like, "I don't want to sound coachy to you, but I think you really need to look at your money mindset right now." I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" She went, "Because from what I know of you, instead of you thinking, how can I make more money for it to not bother me? You're thinking about how you can save money instead of paying it." I went, "No, I'm not." So my money mindset is actually, I'd like to think, spot on. I said, "I know what you're saying. I've got to admit, I give myself that reality check every now and again. I'm like, oh, these other things, what have I got to be able to do that?" The point is, I don't want to fucking pay it. I was like, but it's like, I understood where she was coming from. And I think that's what a lot of people need to realize when they're doing, especially if they come from a working class or lower middle class background. Instead of going, "Oh my God, I need to save all this money. I'm leaking all this money out of the business, blah, blah, blah." And I've got a client, dude. We had this conversation literally yesterday. And he was like, "Oh, I see what you mean," actually. I said, "I understand, you know, if you lose a client, I think you might need to tighten the belt a little bit, especially when you started out. But you're not thinking about what you need to do to pay that. But it comes down to the financial literacy part as well. You know, it's all them different things." And that massively, when Lindsay said that, I was like, it's good that someone's saying that because I do give myself that reality check. You know, like I know how much I need to be making to be able to fly randomly on a weekend and things like that. If I wanted to fly that weekend, it was 75 quid. You know what I mean? Like, I need to make sure I've got the 75 quid. Am I making that money to be able to go do it? If I want to fly to Thailand first class and do whatever, what do I need to do to get to that level? Like, it's like when people say be able to make sure you can buy everything twice. It's not realistic.
Yeah.
Because how can you buy a house twice? I could buy a Porsche twice. You know what I mean? Like in one fucking go.
It was like when people say you can't afford to buy it twice, you can't afford to buy it.
Yeah, it's like, get a fucking grip.
That makes no sense.
Make sure you can afford it twice. It's like,
I get if it was a jumper or something, but...
Like that stuff, yeah. But then, you know, it's like that meme going around, innit? Like girl math and stuff like that. And it's like I was thinking it when you said about your jumpers. Like, well, if it's costing me this now, but I wear it 10 times, that's £2.50 every time I wear it. Like,
what's boy math? Is boy math... I got told this a lot. Boy math's like, if I do this... No, it's like boy logic. If you do this... I'll do this later in my head, so it's done. So you're
That's me with
like,
the gym.
I'll take the bins
Literally
out.
me with the gym.
Yeah, I'll take the bins out, but in my head I'll do it later, so it's already.
It's like, yeah, I'll do it, and then they get frustrated because you're not doing it straight away.
Oh,
like, yeah, I also call that sun math because that's what I do with my mum. She gets frustrated as hell. But yeah.
No, I think you've had some great answers, man. What's the future for you? Like, what's the future of the business, or personally, or if you can say, or yeah, just kind of.
Nah, can't say.
Yeah. What's on the horizon?
I'm going to escape with 10 passports. Really beautiful question, actually. If anyone ever gets a chance, there's a lovely scene from a program called The Blacklist. Don't know if you've ever watched it. Phenomenal thing. It's about a criminal called Raymond Reddington. Bear with me. I'm not being a criminal. And it's this scene that he does with one of the other characters, and he just does it's a first season. I think it's like the first 5 episodes or something. And someone asks like, if this is the end, why do you not feel like this is the end? Why are you not worried? And it basically just goes through, I want another glass of wine here. I want, like, one of the perfect ones was like, I want to lay in a cool set of sheets with a woman one last time. The full thing's about one last time. And for me, I'm like, oh, it just really resonates. Like the full way it does it, and there's this fan edit of it that with some music, and it's honestly, you watch it and you're like, oh my God, this is like poetry. Whoever wrote it is a fucking genius. And it's from a random show. The point with that is like, for me, it goes to, so for the business, we want to go into mergers and acquisitions and funding. It's one of the big things. That's a 2025 plan for us. Because that ties in with actually what we do. That is the evolution of what we look, which is building businesses to grow. So naturally it would make sense to go into that aspect and be then working with them for several years to grow them to a certain point and then help them exit the business. That makes a lot of sense with the business. For me personally, it's to do that. I don't have an exit plan date of me leaving my business. I don't, if I'm honest. I kind of enjoy it. I might become maybe a non-executive director instead of an agency, but then that ties in with mergers, acquisitions and funding. But I basically want to have the little villa in Italy, I want a joke, with nice little vineyard on the back, make the 6 bottles of wine, with the little coffee shop where I'm sitting at the back and work on my MacBook, chill out with that, have maybe a nice little house, 2 bungalows at the bottom, one for each parent.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Yeah, and just honestly just chill out. The little villa in Italy and the coffee shop will happen. You know, there's no.
No, I'm definitely I'm sure it will. Yeah,
like 100%. that will happen because it's doable.
Yeah, 100%. It's doable.
Like literally nice little coffee shop, and I'm not joking. Down to the Bang & Olufsen speaker, to the leather or denim apron, like to the striped tea towel, and I can visualize all of it, and it's just like I can see it, and it actually reminds me of a coffee shop back from my home city, like that opened, and it's kind of the aesthetic of what that was when it opened originally. I know because I remember this guy like just left his corporate job to just open a coffee shop.
Yeah,
and he's just like, fuck it.
Yeah, because he
why
wants
not? And
it.
he sells some nice independent wines from little local vineyards, and then he gets like the coffee roasters to come in and do tasting sessions. Ooh, just smack the microphone.
Don't worry.
And all them other things. So that in my head, that's as long as I remember. I want to be dad as well. I do want to have a family. Obviously, with me being gay, I've got to plan for life a bit more as well, which is a blessing and a curse. So I do want to be a dad, which means that I've got to bear that in mind. So I've got to plan for them kind of things. So I've got to tie that in there as well. So there's some personal stuff in it. The dad thing is like, I've got to tie that with the things I want to do. Because I don't want the vineyard and the coffee shop to be when I'm in my 50s and 60s. I maybe want that in my mid-late 30s, because then that'll give me the flexibility to be a dad. Alongside the agency, I have a few nice clients that I can work on my MacBook in the back of my coffee shop.
Yeah.
Or from my villa in Italy.
Yeah.
Like, I can do it that way. So yeah, that's the exit plan.
Mate, it's great. I think that's a great plan. I think you've envisioned it really well, and I think, to be honest, as well, you gave some. I mean, we asked the same questions a lot to some people, and I think your answers are really, really nice. Like,
I'm a genius, honestly.
Yeah, no, man. Honestly, I really
don't know what mum did to me as a kid, but
you did a good job.
My greens.
You did a good job, Mom.
Absolutely, bang my head against the wall. Get a grip.
No, I appreciate it, man. And yeah, thank you for coming on.
All right, thanks for having me. It's been your pleasure.
Thank you.